science, nutrition, and functional medicine to help you heal from the inside out. I'm Kim Larson. I'm a certified functional nutrition coach, also a fast like a girl coach, and I'm founder of Larson Nutrition and Larson Botanicals, which is going on fire because of the great skincare that we have created that has all organic ingredients in it, as well as candles that have all organic ingredients. So there's no toxins for your bodies coming from any of the skincare or the candles, and it's really amazing and taking off. I sent out samples to some influencers and they are loving it. So here we talk about real health transformation, how food, fasting, and lifestyle can change your hormones, your metabolism, and longevity. So let's dive in. I want to talk to you today about plastics and microplastics and what the new studies have shown. I first started reading, the emerging science on microplastics, and I remember thinking, there's no way this is as widespread as it sounds. And you know how sometimes a topic hits the news cycle and it feels like it's exaggerated, like maybe somebody's, um, you know, just overstating it, right? And so I thought this might be one of those stories, but then the research kept coming, right? Study after study, and each one was more surprising than the last one. It was like peeling back layers of something we didn't realize we had been living with for decades. So today I want to walk you through what microplastics are doing inside the body, but in a way that feels like a conversation between us, not a science lecture. Because I know sometimes I've dug in deep and I've used terms that people are like, what is she talking about? So I want to talk in plain English today about the microplastics and try to help you understand why you want to try to minimize plastics, how do you get rid of plastics with fiber and more. So the science is real, but it doesn't help anyone if it sounds like another language to you. So let's start with the basics. Microplastics are tiny, small enough that if you sprinkled them on a table, you might mistake them for dust. Nanoplastics are so small, they make microplastics look like boulders. These are so the nanoplastics are super, super tiny. You can't even see them. You have to see them with a microscope. These are the particles that can slip through barriers in the body the way sand slips through your fingers at the beach. You can hold your hand out, try to stop the sand, cup your hand tighter, but the tiniest grains will still find a way through. Well, that's how nanoplastics behave in the body. And at first you hear that it feels theoretical, like, okay, but are they really getting inside us? And the answer now, confirmed by multiple research teams around the world, is yes. They're in our bloodstream, they're in our gut, they're in our lung tissue. It's been found in in babies' placentas. And one of the most unsettled places they have found inside arterial plaque, the stuff that builds up in arteries and leads to heart attacks. This is the moment as someone who's and they've even found it in bones and brains, okay? It's everywhere. So this is the moment as someone who studies functional nutrition and chronic disease patterns, when you stop and take a breath, because once you understand where these plastic particles are showing up, you also start to understand why inflammation levels are rising worldwide, why hormone problems are so common in women, why heart disease risk, right? This isn't budging the way we want it to. These plastics don't just float around harmlessly. They interact with the biology of the body the way I don't know, a splinter interacts with your skin, right? A splinter doesn't kill you. It's tiny, but your immune system notices immediately. The skin gets red, the area gets warm. Your body sends an entire defense system to fight something that doesn't respond, doesn't dissolve, doesn't leave unless you pull it out, right? So now imagine that same process happening inside your blood vessels. You can't pull the splinter out because it's microscopic. That is a story researchers researchers are piecing together right now. And I want to pause here and say, this isn't meant to scare you. It's meant to inform you so you feel empowered. I'm a big believer that when we understand what's going on in our bodies, we make decisions for clarity, not fear. So let's keep walking through this. When scientists studied blood samples from everyday people, not factory workers, not people exposed to chemicals for a living, just regular men and women, they found plastic particles in most of the samples. And some people hear that and think, well, if it's in everyone, maybe it's just normal. But something being common doesn't make it normal or harmless. High blood pressure is common. Anxiety is common. Ulcers are common. That doesn't mean the body was designed to thrive in those states. Microplastics in the bloodstream tell us the body's natural filters, the gut lining, the liver, the kidneys, are being asked to deal with something they were never designed to handle. It's like asking a coffee filter to strain gravel, right? Some of it will get caught, a lot of it will push through, and over time, the filter breaks down faster than it should. And that's exactly what researchers think is happening to the gut. Microplastics irritate the gut lining. They cause inflammation. They disturb the microbiome, which, by the way, is one of the biggest regulators of hormones and immunity. And they make the gut wall more permeable, meaning things can leak through that should have stayed inside the digestive tract. We call that leaky gut. But I want to describe it in a way that's easier to picture. So think of your gut lining like the fabric of a screen door, right? When the screen is intact, air flows freely, but bugs stay out. Now imagine someone pokes a tiny hole in the screen. One hole seems harmless, but after enough holes, bugs start slipping through. Microplastics are one of the things poking those holes. And the bugs that slip through are particularly that trigger immune activation inside the body. Those bugs are the plastics that are slipping through the particles that trigger the immune activation inside the body. So let's shift to the lungs for a moment. Scientists analyzed lung tissue from actual living patients, from actual, these are people who are still living, and we got samples from their lung tissue, not just autopsies. And they found microplastics embedded deep in the lung tissue in places where particles usually don't even reach. That means these plastics aren't just inhaled and coughed out. Some of them make it into the deepest parts of the lungs where oxygen exchange happens. Think of how delicate that area is. It's like the thinnest little tissue paper. Now imagine small particles settling there. Again, they don't dissolve, they don't move, they just sit there, nudging the immune system every day. Now, I want to bring you to one of the most powerful studies published recently, the one from the New England Journal of Medicine. Researchers took plaque from people undergoing surgery for clogged arteries. And when they examined the plaque, they found microplastics inside the actual buildup, not attached to the outside, not floating nearby, embedded inside the plaque itself. And the people who had these particles in their plaque were much more likely to experience heart attacks or strokes afterwards. Why would plastic in plaque matter so much? Think of plaque like a wound that never fully heals, right? The body is always trying to repair it. The inflammation rises and falls. If you add tiny, sharp edged particles into the center of that wound, it makes the whole thing more unstable, like putting grains of sand into wet cement. It changes how strong the structure becomes. I have friends who make actually cement and cement products, and it's amazing how you can change the structure. So what we're learning is that microplastics don't have to be poisonous in the traditional sense to disrupt the body. Their physical presence is enough to trigger inflammation, damage tissues, and interfere with how cells communicate. Now let's talk about the placenta because this is the one that stops every scientist in their tracks. The placenta is designed to protect the baby at all costs. It blocks toxins, it blocks pathogens and chemicals that the mother might be exposed to. So, when researchers found microplastics on both the mother's side and the baby side of the placenta, meaning the particles had crossed through, it was a major wake up call. Picture a bouncer at a nightclub checking IDs, right? The placenta is that bouncer. It lets the nutrients in and keeps the dangerous stuff out, right? So microplastics are slipping past the bouncer, and we don't yet know what that means long term. But we do know this: the developing nervous system of a baby is incredibly sensitive to environmental signals and microplastics and carrying around substances that can mimic hormones. That alone is enough for researchers to take this very seriously. So now that we've set the stage for where microplastics are showing up in the body, I want to shift into how they actually behave once they get inside, because this part of the story is where the dots really start connecting, especially for people dealing with inflammation, hormone problems, mysterious symptoms, gut issues, and fatigue that doesn't make sense on paper. Let's start with something simple, right? The body's smart. It's incredibly smart. It knows how to break down proteins, fats, carbohydrates, bacteria, viruses, all the things it has seen for thousands of years of human evolution. But plastic is new. The body has no blueprint for how to handle it. It's almost like introducing a foreign object from another planet into a biological system and expecting the body to know what to do. So, what does the body do? It tries its best, and the first responders in this story are immune cells. Picture them as little security guards patrolling your bloodstream and tissues, and they see a plastic particle and think that shouldn't be here. So they rush over, they surround it, and they try to digest it, but they can't. Plastic doesn't break down the way bacteria or toxins do. So the immune cells get stuck in this loop, attacking, failing, releasing inflammatory chemicals, and calling in reinforcements. This is where chronic inflammation begins, not the dramatic kind that gives you a fever or redness. I'm talking about the slow simmering inflammation that just quietly builds over years and then it starts to get more noisy, right? The kind that doesn't hurt until one day it really does. It's like a pot on the stove that never fully boils, but never cools down either. So I have a family member who was microwaving in plastic, and I told my husband, "Do not eat that." We were there for Thanksgiving, and I said, "Do not eat that. Do not eat the mashed potatoes that were heated in the microwave in the plastic." And so we just didn't eat it because it was, it has all this microplastics in there. And this family member was having all kinds of issues with muscle and neuropathy and all kinds of things. And I was telling them, it's the plastic. And it's amazing when you have people that are so close to you, they don't want to believe you, they don't want to hear you, they don't want to take any advice from you. And I'm telling you, it is so important. Do not microwave in plastic. I don't care what they say the plastic is. I don't care if they say it's not toxic. I don't care. And then you get the receipts from the stores. Have them put it in your bag if you really need the receipt, but do not touch the receipt. Grab something to grab it with. The plastic bags. Bring your own bags. Bring your cloth bags. Do not use plastic. Cut it down wherever you can. Use glass for your Tupperware. Do not use plastic. Do not use plastic bags. Use your own cloth bags. I mean, every time you touch those bags and you're moving it around, that's plastic released into the air. You breathe it in. It's amazing. It's all over the place. So I'm just trying to give you some quick ideas of how infiltrated we all are. Plastic is everywhere. It's hard to avoid it, but you can minimize it. So it's like that low heat slowly changes everything around your body. And when inflammation becomes chronic, it affects every major system. It affects your metabolism, it affects your hormones, it affects your balance, it affects your cardiovascular health, it even affects your mood. That's why so many scientists are now looking at microplastics not as a single source toxin, but as a multi system disruptor that acts through inflammation as its main mechanism. So let's talk about hormones for a moment, because this is where so many women, especially midlife, start to notice changes they can't explain. Most plastic contains chemicals that act like fake hormones. They're not identical to real hormones, but they're close enough that the body gets confused. Imagine someone forging a key that almost fits your front door. It jiggles around, it scratches the edges. It doesn't open the door the way the real key does, but it still causes damage. That's what these chemicals do at a cellular level. They get into receptor sites meant for estrogen or thyroid hormone or cortisol. They interfere with communication. They create noise in the systems that are meant to be quiet and precise. And when your hormones get even slightly out of rhythm, everything feels off. Metabolism slows, energy drops, sleep changes, weight shifts, moods fluctuate. I mean, there's so many things that this impacts. This is why the conversation about microplastics isn't exaggerated. It's not about fear, it's about understanding that these particles carry chemicals that influence systems women rely on for stability, especially during perimenopause and menopause. Now, let's step back and look at where these exposures actually come from. But again, in a very human way. One of the biggest sources, surprisingly, is bottled water. I know many people drink bottled water thinking it's safer or purer, but researchers have now discovered that when you crack open a plastic bottle, the simple action of twisting the cap creates tiny little plastic shavings that end up in the water. The friction alone is enough to release particles. That's why I use metal bottles. I have glass bottles also. I have 2 metal bottles because I make sure that I'm getting my water. And there's a silicone sealer. It's not a plastic sealer. Silicone is just made from a natural product. So silicone is a little bit safer anyway. But try to avoid plastic as much as possible. And then there's heat, right? Heat changes everything. When your plastics get warm, say if it's a water bottle in your car in the summer, or if you're microwaving plastic, when plastic gets warm, whether it's a water bottle in your car, takeout containers holding hot food, or microwaving leftovers, the plastic softens and sheds particles more easily. Imagine a sweater that sheds lint when you rub it. Heat is the rubbing for plastic. And the worst plastic is the black plastic, right? So you get a take it to go container and it's in this pretty black plastic. That is the worst. That is from electronics, right? This is electronics with mercury in it and all kinds of chemicals in the black plastic. And this is all leaching into your food. Do not use the black spoons. If you see a place that has black spoons and forks and that's all they have, use your hands. Wash your hands afterwards, use napkins, whatever. Eat it with your hands. That's how we used to eat, right? We didn't have forks and knives and spoons when we were cavemen, right? Just 100, I don't know, maybe even 50,000 years ago, we didn't have forks and spoons and knives. So and then there's the ocean, right? Fish absorb microplastics the way sponges absorb water. It gets into their tissues, it gets into their digestive systems. And when we eat seafood, especially shellfish, we consume whatever those animals absorbed. Microplastics also drift through the air inside our homes. Synthetic clothing sheds fibers every time you move, wash, or dry it. Those fibers float. They settle on surfaces, they land on your food, and eventually get inhaled. When people tell me I eat really clean, I don't use plastic, but I must be avoiding this. So I must be avoiding this. I gently remind them every breath in a home with synthetic fibers is a potential exposure. Now that might sound overwhelming, right? Because I think about my sofa is not a natural fabric. We have carpet in our house. We have, I mean, I have stuff from I love these pants that have the pockets in them. They're made of plastic. All my yoga, my workout stuff is made of stretchy fabric that is not real fabric. I'm slowly but surely trying to replace everything, but you can't just, I mean, unless you are made of millions and millions of dollars and you can go and replace everything into cotton. I remember years ago saying to a friend, I don't like to iron and I want my clothes to look really nice. So I would always buy plastic clothes. They were polyester, they were spandex, right? This is all petroleum plastic based clothing. Oh my god, I've been wearing it for years, right? So I'm sure that I have toxins in my body. But you can work out, you can eat fiber. Fiber helps grab plastics and takes it out. But there's things that you can do. So we'll dig into that in this podcast. Right. So this might all sound overwhelming, but stay with me because we're about to shift into something much more empowering. We're going to talk about what the body can do and what we can influence even in a world where plastics are everywhere, right? It's on your deodorant, it's your toothpaste tube, it's your hairbrush, it's everywhere. Despite everything I've said so far, the body isn't helpless. It has ways of escorting particles out, especially through digestion and the lymphatic system. If you're working your lymphatic system, I was, doing this thing where my arms are swinging back and forth. I do that every morning. I get on the trampoline, even if I just jump for a minute, right? Just to get the lymphatic system going, to get things moving out, right? It's a way to escort particles out, especially through digestion and the lymphatic system. But this is where the gut health becomes the hero of the story. The gut lining, that thin single cell barrier, is like the customs agent for the entire body. It decides what gets through and what stays out. If the gut lining is inflamed or damaged, microplastics slip through more easily. But if that lining is strong and healthy, many of those plastics stay where they belong and leave the body naturally. Think of the gut lining like a bouncer at a concert or a bar or something. If he's exhausted or distracted, people sneak through. If he's strong and alert, only the right people get past him. And here's the good news: the gut lining is one of the most repairable tissues in the body. It renews itself constantly. It responds quickly to nourishment, rest, and the right building blocks. That means we have a direct way to influence how many microplastics enter our bloodstream. So, this brings us to the liver, your detox powerhouse. The liver filters everything. It breaks down chemicals, it moves toxins into bile, excuse me, and packages them for elimination. But just like a dishwasher overloaded with greasy plates, the liver has limits. When there's too much coming in, too many chemicals, too much inflammation, too many foreign particles, the system slows, and that slowing allows things to linger, just hang around that shouldn't. And supporting the liver doesn't require extremes or detox fads. It requires consistency, nourishment, and reducing the incoming load so the liver can catch up. When the liver is supported, microplastics offer or have a better chance of making it out of the body instead of getting lodged in tissue. So, before we move into the final part of this episode, I want to make a point that I hope brings some relief. Your body has been dealing with environmental stressors since before you were born. It is incredibly resilient. The goal isn't perfection. The goal is reducing the burden so your body can do what it's designed to do: protect you, repair you, and keep you functioning at your best. So let's take this into the last section of our conversation where we talk about empowerment, next steps, and what a realistic, sustainable approach looks like. Whenever we talk about environmental toxins or exposures that feel bigger than us, people often ask the same question: is it even worth trying? If plastic is everywhere, what difference can I make? And I want to answer that with a story. A researcher who studies environmental toxins once said something that stayed with me for years. She said, "We can't eliminate exposure, but we can absolutely change the dose. And dose is what matters." So, dose is the difference between medicine and poison, right? Dose is the difference between overwhelm and balance. Dose is the difference between a body that struggles and a body that adapts. So, reducing your dose of microplastics, even a little, takes pressure off your immune system. It takes pressure off your liver. It takes pressure off your hormones. And those small changes add up to a big way over time. So, the first step is simply awareness. Once you know where exposures come from, you begin noticing patterns in your life. Maybe you switch to a stainless steel water bottle. Maybe you stop microwaving food in plastic. Maybe you start recognizing that your favorite tea bags are made from nylon, not paper. And you choose a different brand where you get actually a tea. There's little metal tea clamshells, and you put your loose leaf teas in there and make it that way. These aren't extreme choices, they're gentle course corrections. And then there's the internal work, strengthening the systems that protect you. Think of your body like a home. This is your home, right? And you can reduce the amount of dirt that blows in through the windows. But you can also make sure your broom, your vacuum, and your air filters are working well. Supporting the gut, the liver, and the immune system is like maintaining your internal housekeeping tools. For the gut, this means feeding the microbiome with foods that calm inflammation. It means strengthening the gut wall so fewer particles sneak through. And something as simple as fiber becomes incredibly powerful here. Fiber acts almost like a sticky broom inside the gut, and it grabs everything. It gathers up particles, binds them, and helps escort them out of the body before they ever get a chance to enter the bloodstream. And for the liver, this means giving it the nutrients it needs to generate glutathione. I've talked about glutathione before. This is your master antioxidant, and reminding yourself that rest, hydration, and nourishment matter as much as supplements do. So when the liver has what it needs, it naturally moves toxins and particles out more efficiently. And then there's sweat, an underappreciated detox pathway. Sweat is one of the body's ways of pushing out what doesn't belong, whether it's through exercise or sauna or simply raising your heart rate a little each day. Sweating helps relieve some of the pressure the liver carries. It's not the whole answer, but it's part of the equation. Now, let's touch base on the emotional side of the conversation because, as much as this is about science, it's also about living in a world that's changing fast. Plastics make modern life convenient, affordable, and efficient, but they also came with consequences we're only beginning to understand. And many people feel a sense of guilt or anxiety when they learn this information. I want you to let that go completely. None of us chose to have plastics in our water, our air, our food, or our bodies. We inherited this reality. The goal now is not perfection. The goal is adaptation. The goal is staying informed, right? Using a metal bottle. Don't microwave in plastic. Use a fabric shopping bag. Don't accept the plastic bags. Don't don't handle the receipts. And once you touch it, make sure you wash your hands immediately. Try to get soaps that are not made with perfumes, right? These perfumes are all toxins that will also hurt the lining of your gut. There's so many things that you can do to detox your home. The perfumes all have hormones in them, hormone disruptions in them, and neurotoxins in them. I threw out all my perfumes. I use essential oils. I could tell you I put on my face serum and people are like, "Wow, you smell so good. What is that?" And I go, "That's just my face serum. I'm made with all organic ingredients, right? It's organic or essential oils. And organic essential oils actually smell better than the perfumes that are made with all these toxins in them. So it's amazing. So if you want to try out my face serum, which you can see my skin is glowing. I put on my face serum and I put on my face cream, and this is amazing for winter, right? It's really made for mature skin for the winter. I'll be making a summer formula when it comes time, but this keeps my skin moist for all day long. And it's made with all organic ingredients. It's this daily face serum, and it's all organic ingredients. You can find it at larsonbotanicals.com. Everybody loves it. They put it on, they're like, "Oh my god, it smells so good." It's amazing. And it has transformed my skin. I'm just amazed at how I mean, I did some homework. I did a lot of research. It took me months to research all this stuff. And then I found the right ingredients. And I'm gonna start adding in some more ingredients that are to help plump the skin. So I'm gonna add in some hyaluronic acid and some bakuchiol, which is like a natural retinol. So the goal is adaptation. The goal is staying informed. The goal is supporting your health with the tools you have today. And here's the truth that brings me comfort. Human biology is incredibly adaptive. Your cells evolve, our detox systems evolve, our microbiome evolves. The more we learn, the more we can support that evolution. As we wrap up this episode, I want you to walk away with a clear picture in your mind. Imagine a river flowing through your body that is your bloodstream. You want that river to be as clean, as calm, and as unobstructed as possible. Microplastics are like little grains of sand and debris that get swept into the river from upstream. You can't control the entire river, but you can influence your stretch of it. You can clear some of the debris. You can reinforce the riverbanks. You can support the systems that keep the water moving. When you make even one small change, choosing glass instead of plastic, using fabric instead of bags instead of plastic, using glass, what do you call it? Tupperware instead of plastic Tupperware, using metal bottles instead of plastic bottles, improving your indoor air, making sure that you're changing your filters on a regular basis. Make sure that you're cleaning and dusting because the dusting is filled with all kinds of microplastics and everything. Oh, clean your house, clean the dusting, wear a mask while you're cleaning because this stuff is you're just going to breathe in all this stuff. So wear a little mask. I mean, we all have one left over from COVID, right? So put on your mask, clean your house, vacuum. If you have carpet, what are you going to do? It's expensive to replace your flooring. So just try to do your best and try to make sure when you're cleaning, you cover your mouth. You are lowering the burden. You are helping your body operate the way it was designed to do by just making some small changes. And lastly, I want you to remember this. The science of microplastics is still unfolding, but the momentum is strong. Every year we are learning more, and every year we become more empowered to protect ourselves. I will continue to bring you clear, understandable insights about this research so you can make decisions that feel right for your body and your health. So thank you for spending this hour, not even an hour with me. Thank you for spending this half hour with me. I hope this conversation leaves you informed, empowered, and ready to make small steps that make a real difference. You deserve to live in a body that feels supported and with awareness and intention that is absolutely within your reach. You can listen to the Larson Health Podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and watch full episodes on YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook, and snippets on social media like Instagram and TikTok, where I also share behind the scenes clips, recipes, and bonus insights from my coaching practice. And if you're ready to take your health to the next level, visit larsonnutrition.com to learn about my personalized programs, hormone supportive meal plans, and one-on-one functional nutrition coaching. And check out larsonbotanical.com so that you can find organic ingredient candles to make your house smell beautiful. You can find organic ingredient skincare to support your hormones and have a happy and healthy holiday season. I'll see you next Saturday. Have a great week, and thanks for watching.